Okay, then from here, I'm gonna shift my weight over to one side and drive through the knee on that same side. That increases the dorsiflexion, it increases the range of motion in the hip, and I'm just spending a little time here. I can kind of rock up and down, rock side to side if that feels good.
Today we're going to do an exercise without really a name, but we're going to call it a deep squat hold with rocking. And hopefully that's enough of a description for you to guess what's about to come.
This is an awesome exercise for not only warming up your hips, but warming up your ankles, because we're going to move around and push into that dorsiflexion so that we can get our whole body ready from a mobility perspective for our squats later on in the workout.
And I'm even going to one-up you with that and say that that's totally true. This is also super good for getting your spinal stability and positional tolerance warmed up, as well as your breathing. Like, if you're in that deep squat position, that is such a great time to practice your breathing, practice your positioning, practice your posture as well.
Absolutely. And if you get down there and you feel like there's a bony block in your ankle and you just can't get over, go to our video about the banded ankle mobilization, because that's going to be really helpful to do before this exercise.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about a fair amount of things, and we probably have a video about it. So if you're worrying about breathing and bracing, ankle mobility, squat technique, all that stuff, go through our videos, piecemeal it together, and let's get ourselves right.
Awesome. So you can use any implement that you have around. We're just going to start right now with a plate. And you're going to come into your squat stance. This is going to be different depending on the morphology of your hips. For me, my legs have to be out wide and my toes have to be turned out pretty wide for me to get anywhere near the bottom because of the way my hips are shaped. So this is how I like to start, especially when I'm warming up. And then I'm thinking about keeping the weight centered on my feet, like the tripod foot that we talk about all the time. Look up the video if you need to. And I'm getting my breathing and bracing before I go down.
One thing that I want to talk about here is weight selection.
Okay.
You don't want to pick a weight that's going to tire you out. This is the warm-up, but it does need to be a weight heavy enough that you're still getting enough stimulus and load that you're kind of forcing your body to create that muscular tension that's actually going to warm you up. So note that Lily here has a 25-pound plate, 20-pound med ball, and a 20-pound dumbbell. Lily is quite in shape, but also is not a power lifter or the strongest woman alive by far. But hopefully you can kind of take a look at her, take a look at these weights, kind of judge where you might want to be. I personally like a 25-pound, a 35-pound, but a 10 to 20-pound weight might be great for you as well. Up to you.
Okay, so you're gonna hold whatever weight you have and then get that 360-degree breath. And then lower down. Now, I'm not going all the way to the bottom. I'm going to my bottom where I can keep my spine in a neutral position. So I'm not letting the butt wink under. And I'll show you that from the side in a moment.
And another way to talk about that is Lily's going to a bottom position that's still incredibly active and demanding. You're not just going to go down there and just like rest on your ligaments and bones. Sit there and practice the position that you're about to move into with your squats, or at least the position that you might be going into tomorrow or the next day when you go do your squatting session.
Okay, then from here, I'm gonna shift my weight over to one side and drive through the knee on that same side. That increases the dorsiflexion, it increases the range of motion in the hip, and I'm just spending a little time here. I can kind of rock up and down, rock side to side if that feels good. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side.
And one thing to note is if you're specifically tight, like I am, on the muscles on the inside of the shin, try to drive that knee out. Lily, can you shift to this side? Yeah. If you're tighter on the outside, if you have like some flat fallen arches, think about positioning this elbow on the outside of the knee, and pushing that knee inward, and that'll stretch the outside of that shin a little bit more.
And then before you come back up, get another good breath, and slowly come back up. Now you can do that a couple of times, depending on either what we programmed for you or what your goals are.
Nothing's going to change here, but just to show you some variety.
Awesome.
With the medicine ball, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to hold it like this. You're more than welcome to just kind of cradle it here, or even close to your body. Just know that close to your body is going to change the way that your load and center of gravity is distributed. So you will have to hinge more as it gets closer.
Absolutely. So again, the same principle applies, centered on my feet, good breathing and bracing. I get down to my active bottom position. And just to show you, this is where passive bottom is, right? Look at how much I'm curving the bottom of my spine to get here. I want to keep my spine totally neutral, which is going to recruit my glutes a lot more here at the bottom. And then I can use this weight to kind of shift over to one side, rock around, open that hip and ankle, and then use it on the other side. Feels so good. And then get a good breath before you come back up, driving down through the feet.
Try it out.